Alright guys, so what the heck's going on here? So I went to start the KLR up and realized that I had let the gas sit for a few months. Let's see, well, more than a few months, 3 or 4 months, I guess 4 months. Since last fall. It's ethanol gas, and when I went to start it, it'll run on choke, but when I pull the choke off, it won't run. It won't keep running. And if I give it fuel after I take the choke off, it just dies immediately. To me, that sounds like that ethanol fuel getting in the carb and sitting and probably gunking up the jet or the needle. Either way, I decided to upgrade to the MCP needle kit. As long as I have to pull the carb and clean it and all that, I'm gonna upgrade it. So what can I tell you? I pulled the side covers off, pulled the seat off, pulled the tank off, disconnected the throttle cables here, disconnected the choke cable to the carb. This is the electrical box over here. That's like one screw back up on this side that you undo and it pulls off. And at that point you can loosen this spring, loosen this clamp up, pull this clamp off, and then basically you take a screwdriver and push this boot back like that off the back of the carb, and then pop the carb out. In my case, this Motec crash bar was in the way, so I loosened it. I let it off about an inch so I could pull it this way about an inch, and then I pulled the carb out this way. So that's where I am. Got the carb out. That's how it was sitting in there, and you can see fuel lines on there. These lines, the drain line is on there, and basically the only line I pulled off was this one, which goes right there. So why did I pull it off? Because I was going to actually do this on the bike. I was going to just rotate the carb and work on the top and the bottom in the bike. Problem was I stripped one of these screws out, one of the float bowl screws, and the only way to really get a good grip on the float bowl screw once it's been stripped out completely is to take the carb out. So that's where I am. I do have a screw extractor set. If I have to use it, I'd rather not. I'm going to try to get some vice grip. You could try to get vice grips on it. I've also picked up a set of these, the Brute Vam pliers. It's made by Vam pliers. The model is Brute, and this is a screw extractor set of pliers. So basically you just take the pliers, put them on the screw head, grip it tight and twist. I'm going to give that a try first, then I'm going to try lock pliers, then I'm going to try the screw extractor set. I'm going to try these Vam pliers first. So that's been completely stripped out. Let's go ahead and see if we can get a good grip on it with these. Hopefully that's in the picture. Get a good grip. Oh yeah, it's loose. There you go. So now you know, if you strip one of these out, you can possibly use some vice grips on it, but these are pretty awesome. Vampire Tools, Brute, and they just grip right on a screw head like that. and just pull it right out. So I'm going to pull that off, I'm going to pull all these off. I am going to drill out the cover for the mixture screw. I've got the MCP mixture screw, brass mixture screw to put in there. I'm going to drop the needle in. I'm going to take this off and put the new upgraded needle in and the jets. And then I'm going to tune the mixture screw. I think I want to say it's 1.5 turns factory or 1 1/4 turns factory. And I'm going to turn it in and then turn it back out 2.5 turns. And that's for the aftermarket Lex pipe and the air box with the snorkel removed and a uni filter on it. I did not do the L mod or the holes drilled in the air box. I don't see the benefit for the extra noise. So yep. Alright, so it's going to be hard to do these on camera. I'm not sure if I'm going to, but I'm going to take off these 4 and this, and I'm going to replace the needle up there, and then I'm going to replace the jets that I need to. Some of that I may record, some I may not be able to. One more thing I forgot to mention. These float bowl screws, the one that's stripped out, and these top 4 that go above the diaphragm. Eagle Mike has a replacement kit for all 8 of these, and I think it's an Allen bolt or Torx bolt, one or the other. Let me show you those real quick. And it's well worth it if you ever have to do anything carburetor related to replace those. There you go. Eagle Mike. It is an Allen bolt, and that'll replace all 8 of those on your carburetor, so you won't have to worry about stripping those out again trail side or anywhere else when you're working on the carb. So thanks to Eagle Mike for that. I have the MCP kit here, and I'm plugging MCP and Eagle Mike because they are basically our sources. This is the MCP kit. It's not the KLX needle. It's a little different, tapered a little different. I do have the KLX needle because I bought it too, but I decided I'm going to go with the MCP kit and the brass mixture screw. This is a brass choke fitting, and the needle, of course. And then the jets are in here, so it'll be a I don't know if this is gonna, I don't know if you guys are gonna be able to see any of that, but I'm gonna put it up here just in case. You can pause it, read some stuff. As you can see, I've got the MCP for aftermarket exhaust and stock airbox. Snorkel removal is recommended, so that's what I'm doing. So I'm going to use basically the 42 Pilot and the 150 main jet, and the mixture is going to be 2.5 turns out, snorkel removed. This bike, I'm going to show you that. This has only got 4,000, well, actually almost 5,000 miles on this bike. It's fairly clean. I'm still going to blow some carburetor cleaner through it, but I don't think it's going to take much. It's fairly clean. It's just probably gummed up from the ethanol fuel. So what I'm going to do right now, it's starting to get dark, so this is going to be a 2-day process. Today I'm going to pull this diaphragm out. I'm going to pull this cover off and replace these 4 bolts with the Eagle Mike bolts. I'm also going to put the needle in, the MCP needle in, and the rubber O-ring that goes on the slide. I'm going to put that in, and then I'm going to put the top back on. And then tomorrow we're going to tackle the jets and the mixture screw. So maybe I can get some of that on the video here. And I have no reason to worry about saving these. To be honest, I'm going to crack them loose with these vampire pliers so I don't strip them out. These things work awesome. If you ever have a strip screw, these are what you need for sure. Not doing this on the bench and doing it in the air is probably not a great way to do it, but alright, so we got to put pressure on it because it's spring loaded, and take these 4 out. There's the cap, there's the spring. I'm going to take those off together. Here's the diaphragm. There's a little dirt around the edge, but it looks like corrosion. Probably from that nasty fuel. See that yellow? There's a little bit of film there. So I'm going to go ahead and pull this out gently. There's the needle. That's what it looks inside there. Yeah, what is that? There's a little film around the diaphragm seat. That could be the ethanol fuel crap, I guess. I don't know. But other than that, it looks pretty clean. There's like no dirt or anything in there, which is another reason I want to kind of just replace the needle and get it back in. I can always pull this apart later and clean better at some point. So if I tip this up, there's the castle. That's what holds the needle down in there. And it goes in like that. You can see the needle just presses up. If I tip it up like this, it'll come out. There it is. That's what it looks like. See that dark stain on the side of the needle? I don't know if you can see that. That's probably, it feels like gunk. I'm sure that probably is sticky and not doing what it's supposed to. The inside of that looks great. The diaphragm, the slide itself, it looks clean. I don't see any yellow or gunk or anything down in there. So that actually looks good. I think what I'm going to do is go ahead and drop the new needle in and just get this thing back in the carburetor. rather than leave it out to collect any dust or dirt or anything else. There's the new needle. So it's ready to go. It's ready to go into the slide, and first thing I'm going to do before that is this is the kit here, and I'm going to put this O-ring on the slide first. Get that out of the way. So the way you do that is basically stretch it over these ears as best you can, and I have to be careful not to damage the diaphragm while I'm doing it. Alright, so there it goes. And I'm just going to roll it gently because the slide is actually a little sharp. You don't want to slide it too much. Let's see if I can get it. There we go. Alright, that's how you do it. So that's up there in position now. Hope you can see that. So I don't like this. See that yellow stuff around where the diaphragm goes? I don't really like that, so I'm going to try to use some of this carb cleaner and spray it out without getting it down into the carb, obviously. Kind of just getting it wet right now, and then let that sit for a second. Then I'll wipe it out. Yes, I think that's corn. I think that is ethanol gunk, is what I think it is. I could be wrong. I don't know how it got there, actually, but I don't know, who knows what it is. It's some type of corrosion. And now I'm going to have to spray it out of the carb too, because I got a little bit in there. Hurt it. It's just carb cleaner. If any of you knows what that gunk is, let me know. I'm sure somebody knows. It's not really in the carb, so it's not going to hurt anything, but it's where the diaphragm seats. And if it's there, it's probably other places too. Alright, so basically I'm just going to rinse that out. Go ahead and spray a little down in there. Now that I'm getting it all over my hands anyway. Alright, so that's that. Now for this slide. So we got the O-ring on, and as you can see on the edge of the diaphragm there's this gunk too. And I don't really want to spray carb cleaner all over it, to be honest. Let me see what happens if I just put it on a paper towel and then wipe it. A little dusty, but it's just on the outside. It's just on the edge where it goes into the carb. Alright, so I'm going to put this back together before I get it any dirtier than it is. So this is the new needle. I'm going to drop it down in the hole, like so. Alright, so the needle's in, the new needle. I'm going to take the castle and drop it in like this. And you got to make sure that these feet don't cover up. There's a hole down there in the bottom. I don't know if you can see it. But the feet can't cover the hole. So you got to turn it so it's not covering the hole. Like that. And then I'm going to put the spring back down. Like that. Actually, I'm just going to set the spring on top just to kind of keep pressure on it, and then I'm going to set this down into the slide. And I'm going to set the slide down into the carb. And that's the wrong way. It only goes in one way. Turn the carb around, and then I'm watching the needle and make sure the needle goes down where it's supposed to. And it looks like it does. Alright, so now can I get this diaphragm down where it's supposed to be? Seated. And that's because we got that O-ring on there. Seems right. Drop out some new screws. And these, let's see, do I need the washer? I think I still need the washer. Yeah. Alright, never mind. I couldn't get the washers off the old screws, so we're not using them. I'm just putting these in, and it's okay because I'm just going to check them every now and then anyway, and I'm probably going to end up cleaning more later, especially using this ethanol gas recently. I'm going to try to switch over to leaded gas, or, you know, non-ethanol gas, at least. That's what I'm going to switch to. So I think most of the stations around here have non-ethanol gas. And I'm not cramping down on these, I'm just trying to get them the same tightness. Alright, that's good. Now let's try this again. Yeah, you can tell the diaphragm's working. Alright, so that's that. Tomorrow we're going to do the float bowl, clean down there, do the jets, and we're going to drill out the mixture screw and put the the brass mixture screw in there. Alright guys, so I'm back again today, and unfortunately I've got a lawnmower neighbor next door, so sorry for that. But I got to get this work done, so I'm going to have to deal with it. And you'll have to deal with it, I guess. So right now, this is the carburetor we pulled out yesterday. Everything is done on the top side. We replaced the bolts. We put the new MCP needle in there. It seems to be back together fine. The vacuum seems to work. This is the mixture screw under that cover, so I need to get that cover off to replace the mixture screw with the nice thumb wheel mixture screw, and also turn it out to 2.5 turns instead of its stock 1 1/4. So first thing I did was I took a punch and punched a little hole right in the middle for my drill bit. Now I'm going to take a 7/64 drill. I'm going to put it in that hole, and I'm going to drill out some. It's not dead center, as you can see, unfortunately, so we just can't get real big with the drill bit. We're going to have to do a 7/64 and then maybe a little bit larger, and then hopefully it'll pop out with a screwdriver if I have to use one. So I'm going to go ahead and drill that off camera, but I'm basically just going to drill through right there just till I break through. Not any further, because I don't want to get down and hit the screw itself. And then we're going to probably get the next size bit up and do the same thing to widen it a little bit, and hopefully this cap will start loosening up. Maybe we can get a little screwdriver in there and just pry it out. And we'll see how it goes. Alright. So the 7/64 went through, you can see right there. Hopefully I didn't hit the screw too much. It's not dead center, but I'm going to take a 5/32 and I'm going to go in, and as you can see, it's still not going to hit the edge, but it's going to come close. It's going to widen it up, take a lot of that material out, and then we'll try to pop it out after that. That's all it took. So now it's 5/32 hole. Make sure you don't get the filings down in the carburetor. First I'm going to try this. Just dig out a little bit. There it goes. Cap's out. Now I hope I didn't hit any of those threads in there. It does look like I nicked the threads a little bit, so that's not good. So if this doesn't want to come out, we're not going to put in the thumb screw. We're just going to turn it out 2.5 and leave it as it is. I don't need the thumb screw. The thumb screw is nice to have because you can change the mixture on the road without a screwdriver, but if you can't get the other one out because you nicked the threads on the inside, then don't bother, because you don't want to strip it or cross thread it or anything like that. I'm just going to leave the stock mixture screw in, but I'm going to turn it out to the 2.5 turn setting instead of leaving it at the stock 1 1/4. So it's going to be set where it's supposed to for the MCP upgrade, the new needle and jets, but it's still going to be the stock mixture screw. It's not a big problem. I'll just have to use a screwdriver to actually tune the mixture screw whenever I need to, instead of having a thumb wheel there. The way this sits in the bike, you can actually rotate this within the bike itself, that much of an angle, so you can just use a screwdriver to edit that mixture whenever you want to. So not a big deal. Alright, so let's pull the float bowl and replace the jets with the MCP upgrade jets, and then we'll be about done, except for this air plug. I'm going to pull this cover, take out the O-ring, and replace it with the plug suggested by MCP. That's going to block that air coming back, and It may or may not be bad, but it's good to replace it just because it goes bad in most every one of these bikes. Alright guys, I changed my mind. I decided I do want the mixture screw so I can tune it on the road. So I backed it out, hoping the threads weren't too bad for it to come through, and apparently they weren't. So it came all the way out. Look how clean it looks. It actually looks pretty good. It's nice and, well, it is a little dirty, but it's not black. Anyway, that's the mixture screw. I'm pulling that out, and I'm getting ready to pull out the spring and the washer and the rubber O-ring, and then I'll put that on the new thumb screw. Alright guys, so what I wanted was a paper clip. What I ended up getting was a bread tie. We're going to give that a try. So this is the mixture screw. Let's try that. So I've already took the screw out. Now I'm going to try to get the spring out. As you can see, there's the spring. Now there's supposed to be a washer and an O-ring down in there. It'd be nice if I could get them both with one pull. Hey, oh, there's the washer. I saw the O-ring. It's right there. There it is. There's the O-ring. So now I'm going to take the new thumb screw, you get from MCP, and I'm going to put the spring on it, just like that. Need a little dab of oil for these threads, just a little dab. And all I'm going to do is put a little on my finger, and then just a little bit on these threads, because we want to keep it turning smoothly in there. It's not enough to drip, it's just enough to go in easily and slide. Alright, got the spring on. Now I'm going to put the washer on. Now I'm going to put the O-ring on. I can tell one side of the O-ring is a little bit flattened more than the other, so I'm going to put that towards the washer, because that's probably how it was. Like so. Now you want to make sure this stays just like it is as it goes back into the carb. You don't want that O-ring to flip off on the side or anything weird. Alright. So we're going straight back in. And I'm just going to gently start turning it. It did have to pass through a little area where the threads didn't feel perfect. It's okay. think that's the bottom. I'm going to back it out a little. Then I'm going to get back in. Just finger tight, not tight. I believe that's the bottom. So the flat side's towards me, and I'm going to start turning it. Actually, I'm going to mark that edge right there, and I'm going to turn it. One, two, and a half. So that's 2.5 turns out. That's where I'm supposed to be for the aftermarket exhaust. I'm using the Lex pipe and factory airbox with the snorkel removed. Let's go ahead and see what they say here. Airbox snorkel removed, exhaust outlet 1.5, and even up to a 2.0 exhaust outlet, it's still 2.5 turns out. So 2.5 turns. I'm going to do the 150 main jet. I'm going to measure this Lex pipe, but I think it's 1.5 inches. So I'm going to do the 150 main jet and the 42 pilot. Alright guys, so these are the screws that I'm actually going to replace with the bolt from, man, they're still tight. I got to get those vampire pliers again. I already cracked them loose once. Okay. We got the float bowl, got the stupid Phillips head float bowl screws that are a pain in the butt to take out. No, it's just stuck with a little gunk. A little bit of ethanol holding it in. Gooiness. Yeah. Shoot that with some carb cleaner. So this looks good. Looks pretty clean actually. I'm going to go ahead and take out the pilot jet. Alright, I got it, but that took way more force than it should have. I'm surprised that the factory pilot jet is down in there that tight, because these metals shouldn't be screwed in that tight. But there it is. You can see it took some force to get it out of there too. I believe that says 40 on it. Yeah, it shouldn't have taken that much to get it out of there. Jeez. Alright, so I'm going to put the new one in. This is the MCP 42. I'm just going to drop it straight down. Wiggle it a little till it gets in the hole. There it goes. Just threading in easy. And there it gets tight. And of according to Granite MCP, you don't want to crank down on this really hard. You want to just get it tight, and then that's good enough. My screwdriver slipped a little, but that's enough. That's not as tight as it was in there, so at least we know that. That should be good, even with the vibration of the bike. Alright, so that's that one. Now, for the main jet. Yeah, I'm going to have to get the nut. I have to get the wrench on that one. Alright. So this one is an 8. Yeah, I can see how tight that was. It wasn't too bad. I'm going to shoot some carb cleaner through that tube because I see, looks like there's a couple holes that could be gummed up, and that's probably the reason it's having issues. It should be a little cleaner than that. Top one looks gummed. I see a little light through them, but so they're not completely stopped. But all those holes on that tube should be clear. So I'm gonna shoot some carb cleaner down in there, and I'll shoot some carb cleaner through here. And then we need to replace the jet. So I just took the wrench like that, held it, and then used a screwdriver and popped the jet loose. There we go. So that's the main jet. And it's not really marked. Oh yeah, it is on the side there. I can't read it. Looks like it says, might say 145. I can't tell. Yeah, 145. So I'm going to clean this one up first, and then I'm going to put the new main jet in. I don't know if you guys can see this, but shooting with carb cleaner. Going over each one of these little holes. Some carb cleaner. Shooting it down the center. Making sure I don't overspray on the bike. I'm actually going to take this bread tie that I had, clean it off, make sure there's nothing on it. Then I'm going to run it through those holes, just gently. Not trying to scrape anything, just make sure it goes through clear. Sorry for the noise, guys. Apparently my neighbor and I both chose the same day to be outside. Oh yeah, that was a little gunk that came out of the hole. Just saw that. And straight through the middle. think I'm done with that. So that's that. Now I'm going to get this new jet in. So the jet's tight, just finger tight, and I'm going to go ahead and put the tube in. Sorry if I had it turned away. So the tube's in, the jet's in, and now I'm going to go ahead and tighten the tube. Just as tight as it was. About like that. And now I'm going to tighten this main jet, main jet. And technically it's not supposed to be as tight as the tube because you should be able to remove the main jet without the tube coming out. That's tight. Check the main jet one more time. I mean the tube one more time. That's good. Don't want any tighter than that. Alright, there's my new thumb wheel mixture screw. Everything else in here looks pretty good. I'm going to clean the edge of this. There's a little bit of gunk around the float bowl seal. You can see some brown stuff here. I'm just going to kind of dig that off. Then I'm going to shoot some carb cleaner on it. I don't really want to get the plastic parts, any of the plastic with carb cleaner that much, so I may not shoot any actually, because it looks so clean in there. Just make sure there's nothing on the seal. Alright, that looks pretty good. This, on the other hand, I'm going to shoot with carb cleaner. This is the bottom of the bowl itself. You can see it's got kind of a yellowish gunk tint to it, and you can see the seal, the rubber seal, has this brownish gooey stuff around it, which is probably some ethanol crap. Alright, I'm going to turn the camera off while I pick all this off, and then I'm going to clean it some. Alright guys, that's most of it. You can see it's nice and shiny now, cleaned up. I got most of that brown gunk off the edge of the rubber, but I didn't want to dig at it too much because I don't want to damage the seal. This seal's pretty tough, but I don't want to cause any kind of nick or anything in it that keeps the float bowl from sealing good. But I do think I got everything out of the float bowl that was bad, so everything's tightened up on the carburetor now as far as the jets go. I'm going to go ahead and put the float bowl back on, and then we're going to look at that air diaphragm block. So let me go ahead and get this on and then get back to you here in a second. Alright, that's that. So now we're going to pop this off, and we're going to put that plug in that Grant from MCP suggested. Hopefully these screws don't strip, because I don't have any replacements for them. I can get them, actually I'm going to use the Vampire grips to get them out. I'm not even going to bother with the Phillips heads. So what you have to do is you have to keep your thumb down on that cover when you take these out, because it's got a spring in there that's really really tight. Give me 1 second here. And this is how it comes from MCP when you buy the kit. He sends it with the paperwork showing you how to replace that O-ring with that plug. And there's the plug taped to the page. So there's the instructions if you want to read it. The air cutoff valve disable. I don't think mine is leaking yet. I don't think there's a problem, but I'm just going to go ahead and put it in because, well, just because. Alright. So let's take the Vampire pliers, get a good grip on these screws. Oh yeah, they're not bad. It's so much easier than using a Phillips head though, because you know it's not going to strip with these. Let's go ahead and take these screws out now. And I'm keeping pressure on it. Because apparently it's going to spring out all over the place if I don't. Screws out. And that screws out. Oh yeah, that's tight. That is a tight spring. That might be hard getting it back in there. That's what it looks like on the inside. And it looks clean, everything looks clean, so I'm literally just going to pop this O-ring out and put the block in there. Leave the spring kind of sitting where it is if I can. Alright, there's the O-ring. And there's the plug. Cover back on. And it's tight holding that screw. Alright. They're both threaded back in. Tempted to use the pliers to tighten them, really. Let's see. I don't know. That might work. It's got the lock washer on it. I think that's good, actually. So it's tight. Alright. So that's it, guys. We've done the mixture screw. We've done the main jet, we've done the pilot jet. We replaced the bolts on the float bowl. We replaced the needle, it's the upgraded needle. And checked the diaphragm. We hear the vacuum. Everything appears to be as it's supposed to. I'm going to shoot this with some carb cleaner and get ready to put it back in the bike. I also have the brass choke nut that needs to go in here too. So once we start getting that back in the bike, we'll have that instead of that plastic one. I'm just going to open this butterfly. Alright, see the brass choke nuts on. Took off this cheap plastic one. I'm going to save it just in case anything happens. But it's nice to have. Next I'm going to try to get the carb on. It's starting to get dark here, so I don't know if I'll do it today or not. We'll see.